Hi guys, and welcome to my 20th tutorial on HTML and web structure, and in this tutorial I will talk about JavaScript animation. Before I go to animation part, I will show you the setTimeout method, which is allow you to delay some kind of action by a specific amount of time. Now we will use this in our animation, but this has different applications as well. It doesn't have to be an animation. You can use it with pretty much anything that you want to delay or execute some kind of action by a specific amount of time. So it's not just for animation or anything else like this. You can use it pretty much anywhere you want. So for that matter today, I will use a button. So input type is equal to button, and and value is equal to click, and I'll have onClick event, which is equal to a function I will call time function. So time function will be the function that is responsible for this time delay, or basically set timeout. Now inside the script tag, I simply add the function, new function, time time function. No arguments there because I don't pass anything. And inside you just simply add a set timeout, set timeout, and open the bracket. Now this method you can write it pretty much any way you like. It doesn't have to be written the way I did. You can just put all in lowercase letter. You can put all the letters in lowercase. You can put all the letters probably in the capital letters. So it doesn't really, I think, matters. It has to be spelled correctly, of course. But the arguments now, about the arguments. There are two arguments actually this method has. The first argument is a function. You have to have a function, and then the second argument is the delay itself. So by how much you want to delay some kind of action, or after what amount of time you want to do something. So I don't have the function, so I just create one here. I'll create function, basic one with an alert. You can do something like this here. I can just tell you right now. Normally you create a function outside and then call the function. You can do something like this as well, which I will do later on with animation. A similar thing, or call itself. You can call itself, but this wouldn't actually make much sense if I did this. Anyway, this is an alert, a message, basic message. I close the function. Now after the function I have the delay. I have to separate this by a comma. So I separated the function with the comma. Now the delay. And the delay is a bit tricky part because it's not represented in seconds as we normally do, like 1 or 2. It doesn't mean in second. If you input 1 or 2, it will actually mean 1 millisecond. What this is that if you take 1 second divided by 1,000, 1 second divided by 1,000, you will get 1 millisecond basically. So to display 1 second, to have 1 second delay, you will have to actually put 1,000 in. So this will actually mean 1 second. And again, if you want 2 or 3 seconds, you just simply take this number, 3, 5 or 7, whatever it is, and multiply by 1,000. And this will give you the number which you will input here. 1,000 is basically 1 second, and so on. You can of course put numbers below 1,000. You can put 1, you can put 2, but that won't necessarily mean this is a second. The change, or whatever it is you require the delay, will be so fast, it will be immediate. So you won't even see it. Even after 1 second is very fast. It's not that, seconds a lot. But I will show you this, and you will have a look yourself. So I click, and alert pops up after 1 second. Now if I change this, for example, to let's say 4000, and save this. Next, and just click again. Now I have to wait a bit longer, as you can see, and then after 4 seconds this alert is executed again. Now you can, as I said, use a lower range, so below 1000, that is below 1 second, so 40 for example. This is a very low number, which will indicate no change, almost no delay at all, almost. So as you can see, it's immediate. So it will depend actually. This depends on what you want to accomplish. If you want to accomplish something like redirecting the user, so you can say, okay, after 3 seconds you will be redirected, something like this. Yeah, you can do 3 seconds or 4. But with animation, we will use actually the lower range of those values, like 200, 100, not 1000, nowhere near 1000. We will use 120. Actually, I can tell you right now, we will use 120. But with your animation, you may use 200 or 250, something like this. It depends on what type of animation you have. Anyway, so this is how the setTimeout works. So you have a function. First function, you don't have to create it here. You just can call it here, and then the delay specified by a value, basically. So that's how it will look like. Now for the animation. Now before I show you the code, I want to show you this file. This is the file where I have my page. This is the one, and as you can see, I have all the images here. Those are the images I will use for my animation. Now each image is called the same, as you can see. It's all of them have the same name. I'm not talking about the numbers, because obviously you cannot have the same name in 3 or 4 same type of files. You cannot have this. But what you can do is add those numbers, and we will have to add those numbers anyway. But I'm talking about the writing, just the string itself. Image is present in all of those file names. That is because it has to be. It has to be the same name for each and every image you have for your animation. Whenever you have 50,000, 100, whatever it is, this number, it has to have the same names. If it doesn't have the same names, you basically wonder what's wrong with it. I'm telling you, just name them the same. It's not even in my head to comprehend what type of problems you may have with 1,000 images or 500 or 100 images. This is out of question. You should have all names that are the same names. Now, why numbers? Numbers, you will use numbers to change the images. You can use any index. I can tell you from the beginning, from where you start, actually, it doesn't really matter. You just have to start in sequence. So if you start from 1, then there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. So you increase by 1 from whatever you start. If you start from 10, then you do 10, 11, 12, and so on. If you start from 0, you do 0, 1, 2, and so on. So it doesn't matter where you start, actually. What matters is that you will have to increase the number 1 by 1 for each image. So don't skip and don't skip, basically. Anyway, so this is our script. We will write the script because this is the most important part. Then I will just do the image. Anyway, we will start with variables or objects if you want to. I have first as a 1. First will correspond to my image range. So first image starts as 1. This is the first image, 1. Image 1, as you could see, this is my first image, basically, image 1. So you have to remember that this number is the first one. If you have 0, this will be 0 here. If you have 10, this will be 10 here. So again, as I said, this depends on however you call them. But first image is the first image and the number you have called it. If it's 10, it's 10. If it's 0, it's 0. If it's 1, it's 1. And the last image is equal the number of your images, basically, of the last number, of the last digit on your last image. So mine is 9, basically. If you have 50, then it will be 50. So it's pretty simple. And the funny thing is about this that you will have to change just couple of things, four fields at the beginning, just those two and two more. You will have to change to apply the same code to your own images, and it's that simple. And I will have next image, which is equal to first. So first. So that means that the next image is initialized as the first. So it's the beginning. We don't have any values yet, stuff like this. It doesn't really doesn't really matter if it's first. You could just write one or whatever. It's better to write variables because the variables can change, and then you don't have to change this one. Okay. So next image equals first. Now timer ID. This has to be used, and we just initialize it to 0. We don't need it. Just use 0. For now, we don't need it. We need the variable, but don't need the value in it right now. And image name, sorry, is equal to, and whatever your name of the image is. As I said, you can separate this name of this image to two parts: the writing and the number. So basically the characters and the number. That's how you can treat it like. So this one is the name without the 1, and 1 is basically the reference number, that this is the first image. 2 is the second image, 3 is the third, 4th is the, and so on. So image is the name basically. So we write image. If you have different names, for example, egg, red, blue, white, green, yellow, I don't know, purple, then you put it there. That's what you do basically. And you can also add the delay. Delay I will use to 120. This depends on what type of animation you have, and depends on what how many of those pictures you have. It depends. This one is fast because it's 120. It's less than a second. So the delay will be very low. As I said, we use very low delays with animations, but it depends on what type of animation you have as well. Now I have my variables; those will be used, and as I mentioned, you can change 4 fields in here. These are the 2, and these are the 2, and the rest pretty much doesn't have to change. There will be one more thing in the body which you will have to change, but that's pretty much it. Nothing in the script. So first we do is flip image. Now this is just the name. Don't worry. This is the name for the new array. I will explain why we need new array. We need new array because we have images, and we can put those images into objects. Now, instead of creating 9 objects, or if you have 50 images, 50 objects, we can just simply create an array which will hold those 50 objects, and we don't have to play around with, declaring all of them. Now, another thing is I can use now the for loop and assign to those indexes my image, and I don't have to do it, one by one. So that's why I will use a for loop. And what's good about this, I can use I is equal to first. So I is equal to first means whatever the first is, whenever it's 1, 0, 10, 20, 100, I will equal to this, and then the range, which is I, is less than or equal to last. Why equal? It has to equal, because I have to put the last image into the array as well. It's not that you can also do, or you can do something like this. It's less than plus 1, like this, something like this. But it's not really good to do it. It's better to do, less than equal. It's easier actually. And then just I++, and open the close curly brackets, and simply add a images to the array. So flip image, and now the index specified by I, because I have it in my loop, so I don't have to specify hard values, is equal new image. So new image, I create new image, flip image, again I .src now, so I specify the source. Now you can use img name so it's image name, which you always have, plus I, which is the number now. So you combine the whole like a name. So you combine the whole name into one string, plus I, which will correspond to a specific index, but also specific number of the image. As you know, first is the beginning and the last is the finishing. So it will have the range between those two values. Now you always have to add your extension type. I have JPEG. If you have different one, GIF or whatever it is, you will have to add this extension. You have to add it, and remember, you don't put any spaces in here. No spaces, just .jpeg, that's it, or whatever, GIF, whatever it is. That's how it works pretty much. And that's pretty much for the for loop. You just create, I create my images and objects, and I assign the names to the SRC. So pretty simple thing. Now there are three functions we will have to create. Now one is for the stop, one is for the start, and the other one will be for the changing image, for the change of the image. Now stop and start functions are very simple. So function start I will do first. Start, no arguments here. None of those functions will have arguments, I can tell you from the start. I just simply call change image function. This will be the change image function, and then function sorry, stop, which will basically stop the animation. And to do this, you use the clear timeout. Now you have to use the variable timer ID, because we will use this variable to assign to the timeout. When we set the timeout, we will use this variable. So it's quite logical that you clear this variable, then it will stop basically. And you don't have to clear it actually. You can stop it. You don't have to clear it. Well, you can just stop it, and that's it. Anyway, now that's that's done. We have start stop. Now we have to create a change image function. So function image, change image. Okay. Okay, change image. Now in this function we will have to find the reference to the image on the page itself, and then change its source basically. So what we do is we write document in squared bracket. We specify the name of the image, so img name, because we already have it in the variable, dot src is equal to, so we change the source, and by using the flip image array, we will now assign a specific picture to the document images, which is basically like an array of the images, and it will basically display different images for us. Of course with the timer, but I would add the timer later on. So flip mg, and inside the bracket, square bracket, we add a, where is it, next image. There it is, next image dot src as well. Next image, as you remember, is not a string, it's a numeric value, and flip image is a array. So basically I call this one will be basically for the index. This index, for example 1, let's call it, this one is 1 for now. Flip image with index 1 will be assigned to document images. So it's basically it will change the document on the page with the name of image. I will have to name it image later on my picture, because otherwise it won't work, it won't affect it. Now I just add next image plus plus. This will add to the next image value and basically increase the index of flip image so that it will change the images accordingly. Now if you do this, just this, and set the timeout, well, it might work for a second, because when you get to, in my case, for example, 9, and then you add one more to the index, 10, there's no such thing. There's no image in index 10. So, what you're gonna do now, what you have to do, or you should actually do, is, or you can stop animation, or you can actually loop it. So it will repeat itself. You can do that. And most of the animations do the loop animations. I don't know if you know about them, but they do the same all the time. After it's finished, after it reaches its end, it simply starts all over again, and all over again, and all over again, and till the end of the word, like this. So basically, it's up to you. You can add it, you don't have to, but it will work better actually, because, well, it will work all the time. So how to do it? You just add if statement if next image is more than last. So this is your highest range, your last image. If it's more than, then simply say next image is equal to first. It will start all over again. Because I don't use more than one statement here, I can just do it like this in one line. Don't worry, there will be no errors. You can do it like this. So if this, then this. Don't worry, you won't make any errors. You don't have to put actually the curly brackets around it just for one thing. So you can just do it like this. And now the timer ID. Timer ID is equal to setTimeout. SetTimeout inside function. Now we will use a change image function. So it will call itself. It will call itself. Now I will have events with the picture, but what will happen when the event is triggered all the time, the function will call itself. So it will go on a loop, infinite loop, until the event is false, until the event is stopped, basically. So it will go on forever, as long as you want, as long as your event is working. So set timeout, I will add a change image. Change Avast, go away. I told you a couple of times already. Change image function, and then after a comma I specify my delay. But I already have delay, so I don't have to write numbers. I just simply write delay because I already have it specified. Now that's pretty much it. As you can see, we have a couple of variables. We have an array, in which we create new images and assign a specific image name with its number, so its image name and its extension, to a specific index. And basically, now I must say this: don't use different type of extension types. Simply don't. Just hold on to one extension type. That's it. I mean, whenever you are used to JPEGs or not, choose a different one. Choose the one you always work with and stuff like this. Choose this one, and all of your images should actually be, because if not, then this image will not be displayed. Again, it will mess up your code, and you will have to create another loop. Or it's so messed up. It doesn't really, you don't really want to go through it. So I just advise you to use the same, make sure you have the same extension type for each and every image. And it's not that hard, but when you create your images, you save them somehow. You have to save them, right? So when you save them, just make sure you save them as JPEG or as a GIF, as whatever you want. Just make sure you hold on to one type, just one. And this one is pretty simple, just call statements. Clear timeouts, pretty simple as well. Timer ID passed as which one to clear. Document refers to the page itself, to the page. Document image name. This will be the name which I will put into the image on my body, basically. .src is equal basically to the src of the image, and this will be changed. This will be changed by this. So flip image is my array. Index is specified by next image .src, next image plus plus. So I add an index by one, and I simply set the timeout, so delay, and after 120 milliseconds I will do this function again and again and again until the event is false, until the event is stopped, basically. Okay, so now the image. img src, this is the easiest part in my opinion. That was the hardest part there with the script. So img src image 1, this one is the first image. You can start from pretty much any image, but it will still start from first one because I did it like this. So image1.jpg, name, you have to name it the same way you named your images here. So if it's name image here, just say image here, the same thing. And also you have to have events. So for example, on mouse click, on mouse over, not click, on mouse over I will do, and on mouse out. So when mouse is over the picture, it will start the animation, and it will do it until the mouse is over the picture. And a mouse out, so when you take your mouse away from the picture, it will stop. It will just cease, stop, whatever. On mouse over, okay, just start function on mouse. Mouse out equals to stop. Okay. You can also change the width and height, and I will just do this really fast. 200, 200, and that's pretty much it. So very simple thing. Now you can also add a link if you want to. Here you can add a link. It doesn't matter. For now it's just an animation. Anyway, okay. Let me just save this, and I will show you. Something's off. Let me just check over. Maybe I misspelled something on mouse. Out, stop, start. Yeah, image 1. Yes, that's correct. Image, height, and I already set timeout. Change image. That's correct. Just let me just go through it because I'm sure I made some kind of spelling mistake. That's why it doesn't work. Okay, I don't see anything. Clear time. Yeah, that should be fine. Change image. It's the same thing. Okay, maybe you see? Now I said I did some kind of mistake, and I was sure of it because it should work, and it will, as you can see. It works perfectly fine. As you can see, it's a loop. I just did a spelling mistake. Obviously, this happens sometimes. So you have to watch out for these. Actually, spelling mistake is detrimental to your whole code. It can be detrimental to your whole code. So you have to make sure everything is spelled correctly. And as you could see, well, more about the animation anyway. As you can see, animation works perfectly fine. It works as a loop, so it starts all over again when it's finished. When I take my hand off it, my mouse actually, you see that some of the pictures, it doesn't actually reset itself. It stays on the current number of the picture, and then it simply adds to it. You can reset each time you get away. You take away your mouse. You can reset this to 0, so it starts from the beginning. But I don't do it anyway. So that's how your animation will basically look like. This is just 9 images, remember, and just this rubbish Sudoku game, which I inputted some random numbers in Paint. If you have a better program, to make a graphic other than Paint, I suggest use different one than Paint. You can create pretty decent animation and put them on your webpage, and I think it's quite useful. if you, for example, use Photoshop, you can create a couple of images, good ones, for example 50 or something like this. Create them, just put them onto your page, and you have an animation. You don't have to animate it onto in Photoshop or something like this. You just simply animate it on your page. So that's pretty much it about the JavaScript. This is the last tutorial of JavaScript series, and future tutorials will be about PHP. Now the PHP is very interesting. PHP allows you to write the scripts that interact with XML. XML is another language for web and design and stuff like this. Mostly XML is, I would say XML is mostly used for database, like a database. It holds something for you and you can extract data from it. That's my actually experience with it. But you also can use normal databases. The actually database, I mean SQLite, I think it was. And SQLite, I think you can use with PHP. So I will teach you both the XML, the SQLite, how to use it with PHP. You know, the beginnings of the PHP, how to create programs, and then after PHP, maybe I will move on to Ajax, which is very interesting if you like to program something on a page that is in real time, basically. Because nothing I showed you today is in real life, in real time. Maybe besides the animation. Animation actually is quite in real time. It changes. You can see the changes. You don't have to refresh the page all the time. So that's one thing that's in real life, real time. But Ajax allows you to actually move stuff around in real time. You don't have to. You can actually select this and move it here, and it will actually move. And you don't have to refresh the page and stuff like this. So that's Ajax, but that's way in the future. So don't worry about it now. If you want to visit my webpage and YouTube channel for more tutorials, if you like my videos, subscribe on the YouTube channel or my videos. Like them if you want to, and share them if you want to as well. Visit my webpage. There are loads of tutorials there, of course documents mostly. There are links to YouTube tutorials, but there's everything. You have all the tutorials written, which are more informative. I try to give you some information in the videos, but mostly it's about the implementation, and that's why I have those written tutorials where you can just read about this, and it takes less time actually for me to create such a lengthy tutorial, and just write it basically. And I can output all the information I want to into for you out there, just with the file. So visit it if you want to. There's loads of tutorials about math, programming. There's even a game which I'm creating, an RPG game, and you can have a look at this one as well. And I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye.